All right? Second year, we may take the old guy. Well, let me back up. Let's just, she's going to toe punch all of these birds. Okay? Toe punching is where it's exactly what it's called. It's like a little toe punch, and you go to the skin in between their toes and you punch them. Okay? In case you're concerned about welfare, I'll tell you, our welfare standards for the Sustainable Poultry Network are as high as anyone in the country. Animal welfare, the Humane Society, toe punching is kind of like even more insignificant than piercing your ear. Okay? I can tell you, I watched in the industry like beak trimming. It's devastating for the bird. All right. So,
are you just putting a hole or is it a tag?
It's a hole. Okay, you go into the web. Now, you can see, so back in pen 1 of Pat's pen, pen 1 is it's gonna be the left leg, the outside web gets a hole. Okay? Pen 2, right outside, there's a hole. Pen 3, okay? We could go left inside. See the difference? And pen 4, what would it be? Left outside, or left inside, excuse me. Okay? So those are 4 pens. So then, at 16 weeks, she calls me back, or she calls Jennifer, because Jennifer's totally catching on, and that's the idea. Sustainability is not you're dependent upon me, like in the industry. All the Tyson guys go to the Tyson boss. The idea is that she learns from Jennifer, Jennifer learns from me, and then she doesn't need me anymore. That's creating a movement of sustainability. All right? So I come out, or Jennifer and I go out together, and we look at these 200 birds. And Jennifer goes, awesome male, pick that male up. Pat picks it up, she looks at the toe punch and said, there's the dad right there. Wow, every male that came out of that pen, that guy produced great males. You with me? That's record keeping and good breeding systems. Alright? Now let me stop there, because you're either sleeping, you're really not a breeder, or you've decided you're definitely not going to be a breeder, or you're just kind of cranking with all kinds of thoughts. And you're overwhelmed? Are you bored? Are you thinking? Let's talk.
So are you keeping all those 50s, or are you getting rid of some half and keeping half as good breeders? Oh, that's a good question.
Great question. Every generation, you go S1, S2, S3, you cull more and more rigorously as you get more birds. So when we got crooked beaks and crooked legs, do them a favor and yourself. Do not let those birds live very long. Culling is getting rid of the birds that you know will definitely not be good producing birds. So you're not just culling when Jim or Jennifer show up. You're culling from the day they start hatching. Chicks that can't get out of the eggs, don't help them out. That's a whole incubation thing. You know, that's a bigger issue. Okay? Good question though. Alright, but not necessarily. Now keep this in mind too. Some of you are going, 200 birds. Keep in mind, the most that you're keeping these is 16 weeks. That's 4 months. It's not like, wow, Jim, you're asking us to have all these birds to feed them year round. No, 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 no.
So are you incubating all of these at one time, or I guess how are you arriving at your 50 birds? Because I guess what's overwhelming to me is having someone show up every 16 weeks. If you're getting 10 eggs starting today, 10 eggs starting tomorrow, and 10 eggs starting a week from now, you're going to have a constant 16 weeks.
Yeah, great question. The best thing would be, let's just say Pat's I envision Pat raising or hatching hundreds of Australians. Probably her and Jennifer partnered together, maybe even more hundreds. Okay? Jennifer may say to Pat, hatch your 200 first. So your birds are the oldest, the soonest. And then if I want another 100 to hatch those for me, do your birds first. Or maybe hatch some of your birds at the beginning of the hatching season, hatch everybody else's after that, and right before you shut off your incubator for the season, hatch another 100 for yourself or whatever.
So you're just doing like, if you have 10 hens in the first pen, you're doing 10 eggs a day for 5 days to get your 50 eggs for that pen, putting them all in the incubator at one time.
That's correct.
And so you would just save proportionally based on the number of females that you have, get them all in the incubator at once, get your 200 through the incubator, because the incubator to recommend hold that many at one time.
That's right. And these, you can collect eggs from all these pens. You just have to, you got to categorize them or put them in baskets in your incubator, so when they hatch all on the same day, you go P1, P2, P3, P4. Good question.
You could write it with a big pencil.
Yeah.
On the eggshell, we're going to hatch out.
It's all
When
the
you put
same.
them in the hatcher, you segregate them, just put a piece of cardboard.
Okay.
All these birds
Number
came
one
from
goes
pen
in
1.
here, and then when they hatch, then you know what's going on.
But sometimes, after a while, it seems like once you get several generations down, it's really tiny track.
Okay, good question. Let me answer that, okay? I suggest out of black Australorps, the ideal gene pool is a minimum of 300 birds.
So that's your line plot.
Before you get too excited, here's the cool thing, all right? This could be 6 farmers would have how many birds per farm? About 50, right? 6 times 5? Okay, now, so if Pat has 50 breeders and 4 families, now let me also say this. 300 birds, about 15 families, 15 of these. But those 15 don't have to be all on one farm. That's what's so awesome about how we're networking together is Western Piedmont has a small, very small flock, we hope that'll be much larger, of partridge chanticleers. Well, we also have a number of other partridge chanticleers within the network that even go beyond 15 families. We're never going to have a genetic diversity issue if we do it right and work together. Okay. So, to make it feasible is to say, you have 3 families of Delawares, you have 3 families of Delawares, I have 3 families, you have 3 families. We're all committed to selecting those birds. And in a network, as you learn the breed, Todd says, I need a Delaware from somewhere else. Come to Jim, or in our network, you only would get genetics from somewhere else that is a farm or the similar genetics and breeding. Now keep this in mind. This male, if I go down 3 generations with this line, and Todd goes down 3 generations over here, guess how much genetic diversity is down here when we put them together? A lot. Okay?
What's the closest you want to breed back female to grandparent or great-grandparent?
Well, my mind has changed on it. I believe the greatest poultry geneticist in the last 50 years in the U.S. was Ed Buss from Penn State. And Ed said, and I think I actually, no, I didn't put it on this page. He said, always, write this down somewhere, always select the best of the best. So he would say this, you take this male, put on this females, the best bird out of here, females, put on the best males of this line. You could also put dad on daughters. Okay, you could put son back on the old pen. There are so many ways that you can line breed. And Ed would say, do not. You keep it very, very close. I'm like, Ed, you're going to start getting all kinds of vigor. Nuh-uh. Because you're always selecting vigor, APA qualities, and production qualities. So if you're getting too close, somebody stops laying, she's gone anyway. And I really, he says, Jim, it's in none of the books. He's 90-some years old. I need to go see him again while his brain is still as sharp as a tack. He's brilliant. Every turkey for 50 years they raised at Penn State, the entire time, for over 50 years, he never brought in outside blood. And all of the turkeys could naturally reproduce. And he had a huge influence on the industry. And I'm like, You mean to tell me for 50 years you had loose-laid turkeys and you never went outside of them? And he had cooperative extension guys come in and say, because he did pedigree breeding. There's a male and a female, and he has just, he's brilliant. And he said, and he's, cooperative extension said, I don't think that bird could probably mate out in pasture because you want to bet. Finding a flock of females. Took that male out there, and boy, he went to town. And he's phenomenal. I'm actually gathering, we're going to do some writing before he's gone. And I'm really, but he's really impacted my thinking on
What's his name again?
Ed Buss, B-U-S-S. He didn't write much, but I was soaking it up. So we got blanks there. Set up a minimum of 3 to 5 breeding pens. Chickens, 1 male to 12 to 15 females. I said in another part there, 20 to 25. I would actually say 20 to 25 there. Turkeys, 1 male to 10 females. Okay? Some of the material would say, you know, maybe 15, but turkeys, if you got infertility, remember that boy might not be able to be making his rounds. And so you just want to kind of pay attention to that. All right, before I give you let me give you this last little question. Should I start with adult stock or chicks? Great question. All right? Choosing your chick source. I already said this. You're going by your breeds and strains. Breeds are based on what chickens look like based on the APA standard. A strain is a distinct family line within the breed. That's where you say, you know, I have the Kardash line of bronze turkeys. All right? So that's a strain, the Kardash line. We're going to have the Jennifer Betancourt Oslorp line, WPCC Partridge line, that kind of thing. All right? So that's what that means. So I suggest you always go to a breeder. Never go to a hatchery, in case you haven't figured that out so far through the workshop. Okay? Always. And you can do this. All right? Go to the standard and say, figure this out. Do you want to produce eggs, or you want to produce meat, or you want to produce both? Okay? You want to do eggs? You got to decide. White eggs or brown eggs. Find the breed you want. Email me, bug me, I will point you in the right direction, I will send you to a farm, I will figure out how to get you connected to the breed that you want. And I will be very helpful in coaching in the sense that you say, I want a silver spangled Hamburg. They're beautiful birds. Hard to find good ones in North America. Not many left.
Where are they
Okay.
from? Originally.
Hamburg.
Hamburg.
Where's that? Germany.
Well, you know.
You're excited. You ever become a master breeder of silver spangled Hamburg? Started right here at the Rocco Farm. Why not do chicks from hatcheries? Number 2, I put sex chicks or straight run. You got to decide how many. Where do I get them? Get them from Incredible Breeder. Number 4, why not order from large hatcheries? Mail ring, I explained that. A, quantity over quality, or quality, I should say over. Number 2, no selective breeding. This is the biggest thing. Back to this. Listen to me. It's very, very important that you get this. Sharon got Delaware. Now I'm kind of putting her on the spot, but it's very, very good. I want you to make sure you hear it. You can go and get ocelots from Jennifer, just as Sharon went to Gary Sykes, who's raising the Delaware. Okay? You can always say, I got the best stock from the best flocks of the breed that I raised. Every year that you do not selectively breed, you're declining the quality of your birds 1 generation backwards every time. So if you take your Delawares and just go, throw my Delawares out, and you do not select them, you can't, 2 years from now you say, I got Sykes Delawares. I don't care. You didn't selectively breed. You have a mess. Okay? You have to learn the art of selecting by going by vigor, APA standards, and those production qualities.